we have two final things to do this evening, and our two final parts of our program tonight reinforce what we've been talking about all weekend, which is this is a joint conference between SABR and the IWBC. And so our two pieces to conclude tonight's program are projects, one from the IWBC and one from SABR. And so we want to talk first about our pylon project from the IWBC, and then the revealing of our Dorothy Seymour Mills Lifetime Achievement Award. And so we want to start by talking about our pylon project with the IWBC. This is a project, as many of you know, that is been going on for a number of years, and each year we work with a designer as we come up with a theme and developing designs for what will eventually be part of our outdoor sculpture garden in Rockford, along outside the fence, behind the fence by our stadium. And so these will eventually all be out there for everyone to see. And so I'm going to share my screen because I have a piece to show you. Let me do that so you can all tell me if you can see my screen, hopefully. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So our pylons each year are designed by Rena Anderson Sokolow, who is the founder of 1-2 Tree. Rena is a person who works in branding, in books, in creating logos, all kinds of things. And she has been the designer for our pylons. Unfortunately, she could not be here today because, as you can see, this is a picture of one of the things she likes to do. She is hiking in the Pacific Northwest with her family. But she put together this PowerPoint and so that I could share this. And I promised her I would do justice to her design ideas. And so we always want to thank Rena for the incredible work that she does for us each year. And so in the creation of our pylons, these are the existing designs, and some of you will have seen them. We started in 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. And for Rena, a couple of things have been important in creating these designs. She wanted to create some continuity, the idea that they would be something that people recognize and would understand. And so she made, for example, specific font choices. And for her, some of the font choices were reminiscent of old-time team logos, things like that. The use of the iconic photos inside the circles was another. Some of the color blocking, all of those things are important to what she is doing as she has been creating our designs. And now I'm going to reveal and show you the new design, and I'm going to show you it in its entirety first, and then we'll break it down so you can see it a little more up close. And remembering that our theme for this year is all about this idea of traveling baseball, of barnstorming, of the fact that women have had to do that from the very, very beginnings, and you'll see that reflected, I hope, in the new design. And so here it is, entitled Road Trip, and it is a look at particularly two teams that sort of, in her mind, wanted to capture this idea of barnstorming, traveling baseball, and they're more than almost 100 years apart, almost exactly, because we're talking about the Colorado Silver Bullets as one example, and then the Boston Bloomer Girls from the 1890s. And so we're looking at 1990s, 1890s in this particular design. And so here is a little bit more to show you. So what we created, and Rena created this map based on some of the things I was able to give her, and it actually marks the season of the Colorado Silver Bullets in 1997. The 31 cities they traveled to over a course of 89 days. They traversed 18 states, and it was the year that they had a winning record. And so this map kind of captures that idea of being out on the road. And then you can see the other piece of it is so the map is the centerpiece of all of this. And then the second piece of it, this is a photograph from Laura Wolf, who was the official photographer for the Colorado Silver Bullets in the years. And so she gave us permission for the use of this particular photograph. She also included some sample of the baseball cards, but the 23,526 is our best estimate at the mileage they traveled that year in those 31 cities across the 89 days, just to give people a sense of what that season must have been like for them. And we like this photograph. And so I think I jumped ahead. Nope, there we go. On the back side of the photograph, the four iconic pictures at the top are Edith Houghton in her later days as a scout, a bloomer girl with her bat. Most everyone is familiar with the story of Jackie Mitchell, the pitcher in 1931 at 17, who brought into the game and strikes out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. And then the Boston Bloomer Girls, a fascinating story, as I have discovered. And you've got in the program book a little bit of that story from one of our writers. And then this interesting quote that you found from A.G. Spalding, Albert Spalding, and it's reminiscent of, sadly, some of the things we were talking about today. It says, "But neither our wives, our sisters, our daughters, nor our sweethearts may play baseball on the field. They may play lawn tennis and win championships. They may play basketball and achieve laurels. They may play golf and receive trophies, but baseball is too strenuous for womankind, except as she may take part in grandstand with applause for the brilliant play." And that's a quote from, as I say, from Albert Spalding. So this is a 19th century quote that appeared in Gladys Palmer's book, Baseball for Girls and Women, if you've never taken a look at it. It came out in 1929. And then the large photograph on the back, again from Historical Society with permission to use their particular photograph. This is the Boston Bloomer Girls in 1908 in front of their railroad car as they were traveling across the country. And you can see at the top of the railroad car their list. And the newspapers in one of the years, 1904, listed their record for that as 96, 67, and 10. And before somebody asks, we do not have the records to back that up in terms of newspaper coverage, but that is how they were reported. Gives you an idea. And yes, you will notice, as we know, bloomer teams often had two men playing on the team. So there are two men in the picture. And so that is our design. Just go back so you can see it in its entirety again. That is this year's design, and we can thank Rena for that wonderful design again, that I think captures the spirit of what we were thinking about in terms for the theme for this year. So I hope everybody is happy with that design. I think captures, I see thumbs up, etc. We'll have to let Rena know that it was met with, and eventually, as I say, these are going to be the outdoor sculptures. And so we have 3 more to design. So we will have 9 when these are completed. And so that is the idea. So that is the IWBC's project that we want to reveal. This last important thing we want to do tonight is a project that was started by the Women in Baseball Committee for SABR. And it was started, the idea came up a number of years ago at the SABR National at our committee meeting, that are held every year at the SABR National. And we were talking about what kinds of things could we be doing to honor, to recognize, to do something for women in baseball. And the idea came up that we wanted to create an award. And it became really easy very quickly to decide who should be and how we would shape this award. And I'm going to share my screen again with you. So you can see who I'm talking about here. Come on. Sorry. So it is entitled the Dorothy Seymour Mills Lifetime Achievement Award. And so this, as I say, came out of the Women in Baseball Committee. And there is our dear friend Dorothy Seymour Mills. And for those who never had the chance to know Dorothy, Dorothy, one of the very first women writers on the history of women's baseball. She got her start working with her husband at the time, Harold Seymour. They wrote a series of books in the first half of the 20th century about baseball. My favorite one is Baseball, A People's History. But at the time the books were written, only Harold's name went on the books. And so it was not until many, 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 many years later, after her husband passed away, that Dorothy approached publishing companies and found one that was willing to republish them with Dorothy's name appropriately alongside her husband, because she was the person who did the vast majority of the research, the editing, writing, and she deserved to be on those books. And so Dorothy then went on to write many, 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 many different things across her long career. She had a novel that she wrote called Drawing Card. Sorry. She had an article called Reflections on a Life in Baseball Research, a series of baseball articles on the National Pastime Museum's website, all about women's baseball. For the Hardball Times, she wrote an article called It's Our National Game Too. It's a wonderful piece. Her wonderful book, Chasing Baseball, Our Obsession with Its History, Numbers, People, and Places. And then a woman's work, Doing Research with Harold Seymour, among many other things. And there's many, many people on this call who would all say that in one way, shape, or form, Dorothy was mentor, inspiration to many of us. And so that's the origins of the award. And Dorothy did live to see us award this the first time we gave this presentation. And Dorothy really, really liked the idea of us calling it simply in its nickname, the Dorothy. And so that is how we refer to it. We weren't sure how, but she just loved that idea and thought that that was a beautiful way to think about it. And it captures who she is. And so these are our previous winners of the Dorothy Seymour Mills Lifetime Achievement Award. Perry, of course, is here. And as Perry had said earlier today, when that award was made, Dorothy was there. And so she got to see Dorothy's look of approval as that award was given to Perry. Effa Manley from the Newark Eagles, Rachel Robinson, Claire Smith, who Jean was talking about earlier, Justine Siegel also, and of course, last year with Maybelle Blair. And so an incredible list of women who have made some wonderful contributions over the years to women's baseball. And of course, this year, we have an incredible group of finalists, and these were the 4 finalists for this year's award. We have Jean Ardell, Maud Nelson, Lisa Turbot, and Barbara Gregorich. Jean and Barbara both making their contributions in the world of writing and history, with many, many contributions. We think of Jean's book on Isla Borders and Jean Ardell's research notes and other varieties of works that she's still continuing to do. She's going to be visiting Rockford University to make presentations here soon in October. And then Maud Nelson, who was a player, owner, manager, mentor from the late 19th century all the way up into the 1930s. Argument would be made, I think, and we've made this argument a few times, that if there was a woman who we ought to fight to get in the Hall of Fame right now, it would be Maud Nelson. And then the 4th is Lisa Turbot. Lisa has done so much in the world of umpiring in Canada, everything from all the levels of umpiring that she has done herself to the training, the mentoring, the clinics that she runs, and the list can go on and on. We had the joy of seeing Lisa when we were up in Thunder Bay, as she oversees all of the umpires for the Women's World Cup. And so we have this incredible group, and we want to acknowledge, and I know that Lisa and Barbara are both on this call with us. And so I want to congratulate both of them and our other two finalists who are, as I say, have made such incredible contributions. And now we do want to acknowledge and tell you who our winner is of this year's the 2024 Dorothy Seymour Mills Lifetime Achievement Award. And that winner is Barbara Gregorich. Barbara has written and researched the history of women's baseball, women at play. Her research notes that she has donated to the Hall of Fame have made such an incredible contribution to our understanding of the game. In talking to our committee, reading over the nomination that was submitted for her, it was very clear that there was not a person involved who had not been inspired, mentored in some way by Barbara. And so this was the choice for this year. And here is Barbara at one of her many. You can see that she's on first. Some of the other books that she has read, the Jack and Larry book about the Cleveland Indians, and still writing. There's Women at Play, and most recently her novel Exit Velocity. And so I would like to ask you all to, if you would like, to unmute yourself for this moment, because it would be wonderful if everyone would do that, both camera and so that we can appropriately congratulate Barbara as our 2024 winner of the Dorothy Seymour Mills Lifetime Achievement Award.
Congratulations.
May I say something?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to give you that opportunity to do that. I also want to acknowledge and congratulate Lisa Turbot for being a finalist for this year's as well. And I know Lisa is here with us, so we want to congratulate there. And yes, Barbara, we would love to give you a chance to say something if you would like to say something.
I will be brief. Thank you for this honor. I am very grateful to the Women in Baseball Committee of SABR and to SABR itself for this award. Back when I started the research for what became Women at Play, which was by my reckoning 36 years ago, the Women in Baseball Committee did not exist, but SABR did. And I put out a call in what was then the SABR newsletter asking for help on any information on women in baseball. And SABR members generously sent me all kinds of things, clippings, recordings of radio programs, recordings, diaries. They just were so incredibly generous. I was overwhelmed. What really stood out for me was that 3 different SABR members sent me the same baseball postcard. And it was a postcard of a female pitcher who turned out to be Maud Nelson. I didn't know that when the postcard came in the mail because there was no name on the back. I was very inspired by this and set out to find who Maud Nelson was. And it took me 4 years to find that she wasn't Maud and she wasn't Nelson. She was a woman named Clementina Brida, who took the playing name of Maud Nelson, as many foreign-born baseball players did in those days. One of the things about Maud that inspired me the most is that she spent 50 years creating opportunities for women to realize their baseball dreams, to achieve what they wanted in baseball. And I feel that this is what SABR's Women in Baseball Committee and the International Women's Baseball Center does also, in different new ways, but they create opportunities every day for women to achieve their baseball dreams, as we have seen by what they've said of not only by this conference, but what they've said of they're going to do or hope to do at Rockford in 2026 and 2027. And so I see a connection between what Maude did 100 and some years ago and what the SABR Women's in Baseball Committee does today. And so I just feel doubly honored by this award. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. And that was what we thought was so cool when to see Maude and yourself in that group, because knowing that you're the one that brought that story forward. And there's a great comment in the chat. It says, that's a great name for the book. She wasn't Maude. Because it is a wonderful story if you have not taken a look at Barbara's work. We always like to offer an opportunity if there's anybody that would like to make any comments at this point, because I know there are people in the room who have had inspiration from Barbara and been inspired by, and so if anybody would like to do that, we want to give you that chance to do that.
I will.
Go ahead, Perry.
Because there is so much about baseball that is bigger than baseball. I would also like to congratulate Barbara for her roadie skills. We should not overlook them, because she is her husband Phil's devoted roadie, which takes, it's a craft all unto itself. And I don't think he could do what he does without you. Yeah. And I've heard him play. He plays, is it the dulcimer?
The hammered dulcimer.
Hammered dulcimer.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's just such a remarkable experience hearing him play. So thank you for facilitating his sharing his gift.
He'll be happy to hear that.
Yes. The hammer dulcimer is beautiful, and I've heard him play in some of the things that you have shared over the years, and he's amazing as well. And so, anybody else with any comments before we conclude for this evening? All right. Looking at, so want to simply also the most recent quote, Barbara, if you're reading them, it says Barbara is awesome. And there are a variety of others in there, but we thank you all for being here today. We've had another amazing day from all of our research presentations, the panels that have gone on, and to Jean for bringing us a brilliant presentation tonight and the beautiful photography that was shared. We thank you all, and we hope to see you all tomorrow as we have one more day